Welcome back to the Freedom Movement podcast. I'm Connor Parrott, and today we're gonna just we're just gonna talk about what I learned in church today, and I mean it's something that others can relate to. It's something that I've had to learn, and I've just been on the journey to learn. So we're gonna read out of James today, James chapter 1, verse 2 and 4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Consider it joy, pure joy, when you face trials. Consider it joy. When was the last time you grew in a comfortable situation? When was the last time your faith grew from a comfortable situation? Things don't grow. Things don't grow, at least in the spiritual sense. Things don't grow. Your faith doesn't grow unless you're put through troubled waters, unless you're put through trials and tribulations. So consider it a pure joy when you walk through trials. Because in the Bible it says, the joy of the Lord is our strength. It's the joy of the Lord that is our strength. So we're not getting through these trials alone. Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. He is joy. Joy of the Lord is my strength. So, when you're going through trials, rest in Him as your strength. Trust in Him as your strength. Trust in Him as your strength. Knowing that He is the joy of your heart. He's the joy of your life. It's only in Him that when we look to Him in the trials, we can walk untouched. And yeah, it may feel uncomfortable. It may be developing you in an uncomfortable way, but you're untouched because you're trusting Him with it. You're trusting Him in the middle of your storm. You're trusting Him in the middle of your prayer. Whatever you're praying for, it doesn't go unheard. What you're praying for does not go unheard. He hears you, He sees you, He loves you, and He wants you. So He's going to hear you. You just have to keep praying in faith. And I know this trial seems big, it seems uncalculated on your part, because that's what faith is. It's like we don't see the fruit, but we see it's not even hurt, it's just the uncomfortableness that we're in, because faith wasn't created to be uncomfortable. Faith isn't what you see. Faith is the essence of things hoped for. It's what we don't see. So you have to cling on to the joy. And the joy of the Lord is our strength. So when you rest in Him in the trials, you have strength. When you look at Him, you have strength to walk over what you're going through. But when you look at the trials, there's no joy there anymore. So anyone that's struggling to find peace in this situation, it's not that God isn't giving you peace. He might be trying to give you the peace, but it's because you're looking at the stress, you're looking at the worry, you're looking at the storm, rather than just resting and like, God, I know you got me. I know you got me. So it's the fact that we look at the storm and we look at the trials that robs us of our peace, because that's the enemy's hope. That's the enemy's desire, is to rob you of whatever God is trying to give you. Like there's blessings, there's covenants between you and God for your purpose, for your calling, for you in somebody else, to be in covenant and relationship and marriage. But it's not always going to be easy, because don't forget, the enemy is here to attack. He's here to attack what is from God. In the Bible, it says the enemy is here to steal, kill, and destroy. He's here to destroy what is from God for you. He's here to steal what is from God for you. He's here to kill what is from God for you. And the only way, the tactic of the enemy is he loves to get you to look, not here, but here. Because as soon as we take our eyes off of God, that is when we become weak. And when we just sink beneath the waves. But don't forget, it is His strength in our weakness. We are made strong in our weakness because of His strength. That's where His strength loves to delight in. So remember, if you ever catch yourself looking here, remember that, man, I'm weak right now. I'm not looking at you, God. But I know that you are my strength and my weakness. So God, lift my eyes from what's below and lift them to you. And He will, because it's His strength in our weakness. And the joy of the Lord is our strength. So consider it pure joy when you go through trials. And listen, this is something that I started learning. I finally understood. It took me my whole life, but I finally started to understand halfway of last year, the halfway mark of 2024. When I would fall, I would always look down here. I would always look here. Instead of to Jesus. I would always look here. I'd be like, God, I'm so unworthy. God, I'm broken. Why do you want me? I would harbor guilt and shame and condemnation over myself rather than the grace that He freely offers. So when you mess up and when you're going through a trial, I'm trying to save you guys some time here. Don't look at your shame. Don't look at your regret. Don't look at your guilt. And don't condemn yourself in it. Look at Him. And that's not to say, like, don't be like, I messed up, but God forgives me, I can do whatever. Like, that's abusing grace, and we don't want to do that. What we want to do is grow our relationship with Him. So instead of feeling nothing, feel that conviction within you. Have a repentant heart and be like, God, I'm so sorry. God, I messed up again. God, I just want you. God, teach me how to be more in likeness to you. God, continue to transform me and refine me and sanctify me. God, help me. That's a repentant heart. But one that's condemning is like, man, I did it again. I'm unworthy. I'm not good enough. And when you start to speak that over yourself, you don't try. You just give up. And that is a condemning heart. But the heart of the Father is to convict and help you grow. Like, it talks about, like, God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but to transform the world. No. God did not send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through Him. That's what it says in the Bible. So He doesn't come to condemn you for your mistakes like we're human. He didn't come for a perfect people. He came for a broken, sin-filled people. So it's okay to come to Him broken. It's okay because He died for that version of you. So Don't condemn yourself, because he didn't come here to condemn you. He came here to save you. So relationship with God starts with how you see yourself, and how you see yourself in the lens of how he sees you. He didn't come here to condemn the world. He came here to save the world. So rather than condemning yourself, because condemning is speaking death and is speaking death over you, but when you speak, since he came in the world to save the world, when you speak life into yourself, when you speak, man, you feel that conviction in you. Just repent. That's what he came for. He came for your heart, so he wants your repentant heart, not your condemning. He doesn't. All I encourage you to do is, like, instead of looking at your problem, and like even if you look at your problem and then you fail, don't feel the shame of it. Don't feel the regret in it. Because when you start to feel that, that's giving the devil foothold to work in your life and to create separation from you and God. Because as soon as you start to be like, man, God, I'm not good enough for you. Man, God, I suck. Like, yeah, we do suck. We suck. But when you speak that over you in like a way of like separation between you and God, don't do that, because it's only creating distance. He's always stayed here with you. He's always stayed. But when you have that kind of posture, you're pushing God away. He's always remained right here. But because of you, because of like the way that you feel your shame, and then you're like, nah, Father, I'm not worthy. You start to like put space between you and him, but he's always been here. But when you're like, God, I need you, like, and you're like way back here because you're feeling shame and you're feeling regret, but you start to have the heart posture of like, man, God, I just need you, like a repentant heart. Then like, I'm just not worthy, but God, I just pray, Father, you help me to become more in likeness and help me to reflect you more. Like, you're getting closer to him through a repentant heart. But when you operate off of what the enemy says about you, you're only creating distance between you and God, rather than getting in a relationship with him. So consider it pure joy when you go through trials of many kinds, because he is there in the midst of your trials. He is there. And he wants to be there. And he wouldn't have came into this broken world if he didn't want to be in the middle of your brokenness. He wouldn't have came to save this broken world if he did not come, if he did not want to be in the middle of your brokenness. There would have been no reason, there would have been no point for Jesus but that's how it was. But he sent the Son into the world to save the world. And that means you. Your problem is not too big, too small, you're not too far gone, or too in reach to the King for him to save you. But I encourage you to fix your heart posture in the way that you look at yourself, to look at yourself in the way that our Father looks at you. Because you're precious to him. You're his son and you're his daughter. And he loves you so much. He just wants your heart. He doesn't want nothing from you. He doesn't need anything from you. He doesn't need what you have to offer. Like, I lost everything. I lost everything. And I had nothing to offer. All I had was nothing to offer, and at a point in my life, I couldn't even offer them nothing. But God permeated that darkness. He pierced through it because He loves me. And all He ever needed from me was my heart. That's all He wants from you. He just wants your heart. But will you give it to Him? And you don't look at your progress in the process of transformation. Don't look at it as failing. Because I used to do that for so long. Because I look around, I'm like, oh man, that guy has it all together. Oh, she has it all together. But I say I love Jesus, but I'm over here broken. But you got to look at your situation and look at it and be like, wow, I've actually progressed here. I've been taking steps. They may be small. There might be some big ones, but I'm taking steps. And when you're taking steps for the Father, that's a heart posture right there. You don't have to take steps. But because you love Him, you're taking steps. Like, don't look at, like, don't compare your steps to somebody else's steps. It's okay to rejoice in your small victories. But those are really super important victories to celebrate. Because everyone in this world puts on pedestals big achievements. So we tend to think like we need to achieve big. We need to have this big achievement for me to celebrate my own progress. But it's the small victories. Like, don't forget the small victories that you make. Because small victories lead to big transformation. And that might be just getting up 1 hour earlier to start your day. And that might be, instead of grabbing your phone in the morning, grab the Bible in the morning. First thing. It might be a morning routine. But I tell you, just celebrate your small victories. And consider it joy for the trials that you face, big or small. Because He is in the middle of those trials with you. And if you're like anyone, if you have a prayer for God that you've been praying, but you feel like, man, he just went silent. I don't even hear Him. I don't hear His guidance. I don't hear His direction. I don't hear nothing. If you feel like He went mute on you, He didn't go mute. He's testing the genuineness of your faith. Will you believe when you do not see the fruit of your labor? Will you believe when everything looks like the opposite of what you're praying for? Because there's definitely been moments in my life where I pray and it feels like he doesn't hear me. It feels like I'm getting the opposite of what I prayed for. But it's your faith. Will you have faith when you do not see what you want to see right now? Will you hold on to hope when you have no hope right now? Will you persevere the unknown, the uncertainty of it all? If you're praying for something, if you're praying for anything at all, will you stand in faith when you do not see your answer? Because He loves someone. He loves when you earnestly seek Him, even when you don't see what you want to see right now, when you don't see the fruit that you want to see right now. He loves when you seek Him, and I promise He will reward you tenfold if you continue to have faith in the doubt. Because the enemy will bring doubt if it is from God. The enemy loves. Oh, man. Me and him and batting heads like crazy. Whew, man. The enemy loves. When something is for you, he loves to interfere with doubt. He loves to interfere with, stress. He loves. And this has happened a lot in my life. It's just like, if God is speaking life into you, if he is bringing blessing to you, and he's bringing covenant between you and somebody else and him, or just promises for blessing, the enemy will do whatever he can to get in the way of that. He will try to delay it. He will try to seep in. He'll creep in and create doubt. He'll create, excuse me, he'll come in quick. He'll come in quick. If there's something in your life where you've been bringing to God, and you prayed about it, but as soon as you prayed about it, you felt the lack of peace, and you felt the lack of, or if you felt doubt, and I mean like, if this is something that looks godly, right? If this is something that looks like, this could be from God, and you like pray, like, God, is this from you? God, show me. God, is this job from you? God, is this friend group from you? Is this person from you? God, is this where I'm meant to go? And the enemy attacks real quick, and you start to get doubt real quick. You start to get whatever real quick. The lack of peace real quick. You get fearful real quick, or whatever. The enemy will step in as soon as you start to pray. He will step in as soon as God places that person, that job, whatever is sent from God for you. The enemy will attack it right away, because he does not want you to reach purpose that God created for you. He does not want you to reach the person that will impact the kingdom with you. So he will create doubt. He will create stress and worry. Yeah. It's what he does. The enemy will always attack right away if something is from God. And I mean, like, if you're going after a job, you're going after a person that really isn't godly, and you pray about it, and then you start to feel doubt, or you don't have like a peace about it, it's probably not for you, because their fruits did not at all represent who God is. But if their fruit represents who God is, their fruit represents who God is, and you start to pray about it right away, because their heart is genuine with the Father, the enemy will attack you, because he does not want you to reach that blessing. He does not want you to reach that covenant. He does not want you to reach or harbor what our Father gave us freely and graciously. God gives us beautiful things, but sometimes we miss out on them because you're allowing the enemy's voice instead of our Father's voice to impact our thoughts. If it does not have fruit, and you don't have a lack, and you have a lack of peace, it's probably not from God. If it has fruit, and you start to feel attacked with doubt, fear, no peace, whatever it may be, that job opportunity, that person, that friend group, whatever it is, that could be from God. It's more likely from God than this list. So we shove that away. because it had no fruit to begin with. So shove that away, because obviously that ain't from God. But if it has this, truly bring it to God. And I know you're gonna endure a lot of attacks from the enemy. You're gonna endure it because he is trying to break you from purpose. He's trying to break you from blessing. He is trying to break you off a covenant. He does not want you to have what Jesus has planned for you. So he's gonna attack it right away. But consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, when we face trials of many kinds. Because that's when our faith has the chance to blossom. And that's when perseverance has the chance to blossom. Will you continue to have faith in the uncertainty? Will you have perseverance and keep fighting for what you are choosing to believe in? And what you're praying for? Even when it looks like there's no way. Like people that have a career path they want to go on, or anyone that, even just like professional sports, whoever's going after those things, chase after them earnestly. Without stopping, no matter what people say. And even when their own voice is like, bro, you can't do this. This is so far beyond what you can do. They continue to keep going because they believe in it. So same way with God. If it's from God, seek it. Pray about it. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in the situation. Have hope in the situation. Continue fighting in prayer. Continue fighting in worship. Chase after what is holy. Chase after what is God reflecting. Whether people say, well, dude, that's weird, or if even your thoughts are like, I don't know. It's okay to not know. But in the unknown, we have to hand it to him. We have to give it to him. Because if we don't, we're gonna become impacted by our own thoughts and the devil's thoughts of doubt, of worry, of fear, of stress, of anxiety. And then we'll never get to reach and experience that side of blessing because we allowed ourselves to look at the trial rather than looking at the King. Like he has it for you. All you have to do is look to him and boom, your blessing is right there. But if you keep looking at that trial, you'll never get to reach. You'll never get to reach the walking on water stage. Because you're too busy looking at the storm, you sink and you fall. But remember, a righteous man falls 7 times and gets up 7 more. So keep stepping. Keep stepping. Your small steps aren't any bigger than the big steps. Small steps matter. So when you take a small step, you trip on a step, get back up, keep stepping. But the only way we can keep stepping is when we look at him. God, I just pray. God, I just pray. I pray. Anyone that is close to their blessing, is close to the covenant between you, somebody else, and themselves, God. God, off of their purpose, God, I break any spirits that are on them, God, that are trying to impact, trying to interfere, trying to delay what you are causing for them, God. The blessings that you're so graciously and freely giving them, God. Any spirit of anxiety, depression, fear, worry, doubt, I break you off of them in Jesus' mighty name. You cannot touch them, for they are bought with the blood of Christ. You call them by you know their name, but you call them by your sin. God, you know our sin, but call us by our name. We are bought with the blood of Christ. You cannot touch us in Jesus' mighty name. You cannot touch us in Jesus' mighty name. We're bought with the blood of Christ. We are not a product of our mistakes and our sin. We are a product of love. If we were a product of our sin and our mistakes and our shame, then Jesus would have died on the cross and stayed dead. But he rose from the dead in love, bearing our sin and our shame. But you stayed dead. And Jesus, you rose. So I know that any obstacle that I face and anyone else faces, God, you are prominent. You are over those situations because fear and all sin is dead in Jesus' name. It died on the cross. Beautiful thing about you, Father, is that you sent your Son to die on the cross with our sin and our shame and our dirtiness. But the beautiful thing is you rose, and our sin and our brokenness stayed dead. Sin is dead, but you are life. So we are bought. We are bought with the blood of Christ. We are a product of love. We are not a product of sin. So I break you spirits off in Jesus' mighty name. You cannot touch them, and you cannot influence the way they think. Their thoughts are a palace to the king, and it's his playground, not yours. In Jesus' mighty name. I bless you guys. I thank you for listening to this and watching. Just remember who you are and whose you are. You are a product of love. If you weren't a product of love, Jesus would have stayed dead. He wouldn't have rose 3 days later. He would have died with our sin and our shame. But he rose, and our sin and our shame stayed dead. So we are not a product of what we were. We're not a product of our mistakes. We're a product of a king who rose out of love for us so that we could have relationship with him, so that we could have covenant with him, so that we can inhabit blessings from him. No problem is too big for God to walk through. So I pray over you. Do not look at your problem. Give God your problem, because he will walk through it for you. He will walk through it for you. Continue seeking him. Continue seeking him. And give him the areas of your heart that are troubled. And I promise he will refine and sanctify you each and every day. But give him that room. Because he cannot have that room to grow in your life. And your relationship with him will not progress, and it will not become fruitful if you do not give him your trial or your trials. Run to him. Seek him. I promise you will find him. He loves the one who seeks. He adores you. So keep seeking even when you don't see the fruit. And break. I pray, continue to break in prayer. Fight back against the enemy, because he will try to rob you of what is from God. So take it as your own. That's yours. Do not let the enemy take it for you, because if he takes it for you, he'll make sure you never receive it. He'll make sure it never sees the light of day, and he'll make sure that it breaks. If you do receive it again, he'll make sure that you receive it broken. So run to him. Run to him. For whatever situation you are praying for, I promise he will restore it, and he will... Because when we give things to him, he is on the throne of our heart. And that's when our heart posture is right, and we know that. We know that our heart posture is right when we seek him over situations. So he will restore it for you, and he will give it back to you tenfold. In Jesus' mighty name, I know that. I know that, God. Thank you for this word, God. Thank you for this word. Oh, my goodness. All right, I think that's it. God, that it? Yeah, I think that's it. All right, guys. Have a blessed week. I love you all. God bless.